what we're going to do is you're going to pair up with somebody that you have not really spoken to yet, you don't really know. I know we've kind of seen to like glom onto our best friends, so we're not going to do that. You're going to introduce yourself to them. You're going to go, hi, hello, this is my name, this is my pronouns, whatever. And we're going to do a little game that was my favorite thing. Not to be like when I lived in Italy, but it was one of my favorite things that we ever did. And it's a sensory exploration where basically one person is the angel and the other person is the explorer. And the explorer is going to close their eyes and literally just wander and sensory explore everything. I want you to touch stuff, I want you to get on the ground, I want you to hug trees, I want you to do whatever. The angel's in charge of making sure you don't die, because that would be bad. And in regards to like, I struggle with sensory deprivation activities because it feels like we're trying on a different disability, so I just want to specify that it's not what we're doing here. We are just experiencing our sensory input in our space in a different way. So when it comes to accessibility in a space, a lot of it is about just how you set up that space from the beginning. So if you create the right community norms, if you create the right level of comfort, everybody's going to feel like it's accessible and feel safe down the line, you know?
Pie, multiple textures. Cake without icing, one texture.
Yes! There we go!
People clapped for that.
What's important is that we're calling it a safe space because that's just what in our brains we think of, right? But when you think of safe space, we often think of something that is super cushiony and that, you know, you can't push boundaries in a safe space. And so we're creating what's a liberated space in the discussions of educational reform. It's called a liberated space, which basically it means that it is a safe space in the sense that you can talk about anything with guidelines and everybody is going to feel comfortable. And when you talk about uncomfortable topics, you do it tastefully with trigger warnings, with understandings of why you're talking about that thing. So we try to create that environment by going through community norms and talking about what to expect from this process and what, you know, where this thing is going, where we dream that it's going to go, where it could go, and talking about what everybody was concerned about, what they were nervous about, and kind of reassuring all those things from day one so that everybody has a strong basis for where they want to go from here and where they feel comfortable they can go from here in the space.
We're not going to do the leave it at the door thing because that's not how trauma works. That's not how it works.
That's not how people are.
That's not how people work. But what we are going to do is during our check-in, something I really like to do during check-in stuff is like a shake it out moment, where it's like if there is something that is specifically like feels like it's heavy, shaking it off, maybe saying, okay, let's focus on what we're doing right now.
And then when we went into our devising activities, it meant that some people would be like, I'm nervous about this, and then I would be able to have a quick conversation about like boundaries and like, here's why I'm doing this, and they would go, oh, okay, I think I can do it. And then they modified it a little bit for their own needs, and they were able to completely go about it with no problem.
In case you cannot tell, the point of this is learning to look at spaces in different ways and position our bodies in spaces in different ways and looking at different angles. So we're gonna try it one more time. On your mark, get set, go.
We also obviously wanted to do some icebreakers. We have 26 people that all need to get to know each other. And so we didn't want to do our traditional painful icebreakers that kind of trigger a bit of a fight or flight. We did go around, everybody said their name, pronouns, major, all that kind of stuff, because obviously you have to do that. But we weren't gonna do, I can't think of any traditional games like, oh, all the games that are like, you have to memorize everybody's name around the circle and remember how many things are in a circle, and everybody connects their thing with a movement or with an animal or something like that. That's very stressful. As somebody with memory loss, that is a very stressful thing to do, and I'll figure out people's names over time. And we did not do things like that. We instead decided to just go straight into the work and say, like, do a lighter version of what we intend to do with the work so that they can slowly get used to that and get used to each other as a group while they were doing that. And we did a fun icebreaker where they got to choose, like, all right, are you better, do you feel more like you are cake or like you are pie? And they would split and they would explain why that is. So we got to know each other in more abstract, less boringly painful, stressful ways.
All right, last one. Make it count, make it count. Bird or plane?
What?
Sid, what?
Plane.
What? We also made sure to take the time to answer everybody's questions, which took a lot of time.
But it was important to take that time, right, so that everybody feels safe. And we also started with a bit of a check-in, and we ended with a bit of a check-in. And we're going to be doing that for all of our rehearsals down the line. We always start by going, all right, how's everybody feeling right now? Where are we going? And how are we doing, and how can we best support each other, and then checking in at the end to see how everybody's doing. And we kind of ran out of time today. I didn't plan that super well, but I'm going to get better at that, and we're going to make sure to take that time to do another check-in and make sure that everybody's doing okay. But it seemed like people were pretty comfortable with sharing their boundaries and being flexible and talking about what their needs were, and I'm really excited. I think this process is going to be really good. So here are some clips from our first days. You can see what kind of stuff we did. We did a sensory exploration exercise that we're going to expand upon on another day, and a space exploration exercise, trying to just get used to looking at the world differently, because the purpose of the show is to look at the world differently and to make the world look at us differently. So we're doing a lot of things about spatial awareness and how we look at our world. So it was really cool to get to do that and get to see the actors and the crew start to experience that world differently.
All right. The next thing we're gonna do just a little space game. I want all of you to rearrange yourself, find a body shape and part of the room in which you can make a comfortable temporary home. Go. How are we feeling? Just reflect upon that. Oh my God, Megan, I love you. Oh, hey there.
Yeah.
I respect it. All right. So now we are going to change to another place and position after we take a picture of Megan on top of the cabinet.
Me and May are just the standing emoji right now.
If you give me a good cake that's like not bad, then I'll like it.
A good cake that's not bad, just to clarify that for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching this next installment of our little documentary series, I guess is what we're gonna call it. And again, maybe we'll have an outro one day. We can dream. Great. Bye.
Crip Space is unique, a place where disability is celebrated and embraced, something radical and taboo in many parts of the world, and sometimes even for people in those spaces. The idea that we need our own spaces, that we thrive in them, is particularly troubling for identities treated socially as a negative.